Hi, Elaine Enlightening at taplightUnlimited.com. Today I wanted to share with you that the last 2 video blogs that I created came with a lot of resistance, and all that means is that I was addressing a very core issue for me, and it just meant that I was going to get a better clearing the more I faced it as opposed to avoiding it. So when I say there was resistance, I felt it during the video, and I noticed it even when I watched it. I noticed that when I was tapping that the flow wasn't all that smooth, and I just thought about, I'm kind of embarrassed, I think I'll redo those, and I knew right then that was just the ego trying to second guess the work that I'd done, knowing that what I had done had brought some amazing results for me, and that what I reminded myself that this is all about being extremely authentic. These vlogs are very raw footage, and I just cut them and let them be what they are. So as part of this process is to just trust that everything happens for a reason. The frogs in the throat, the struggle with the tapping, and just allowing it to be, because I really had some amazing results. So if you follow along as each day is uploaded, you'll see that progress. But you can jump around or whatever you want to do. I just want you to know that I'm here because I'm really passionate about what I do. And I know that as I learn and grow, I'm sharing that, and we never heal alone. And as A Course in Miracles makes it very clear, we can't heal without our brother being healed as well. We can't even possibly be healed all alone. It just doesn't work that way. So we take our brothers with us. So that's why I'm sharing my heart, my authenticity, my struggle with you. And I wanted to share about the resistance because it's a really important part of the process. When it happens, a lot of times we want to give up. And that leads me to one of the struggles that I had when I first started creating the video blogs. I did 4 in a row before I ever got the first one uploaded, as I was learning how to do the tech stuff and was having struggles. So as I've stated earlier, it was a part of the process to learn how to release a lot of resistance about the tech stuff by just creating the vlogs, which I didn't expect them to be that hard. I thought it was going to be really simple. And so it's all about letting go of our own ideas of everything. That may seem kind of far-fetched and kind of hard to grasp, because the ego resists that whole idea very much, which is really what we're doing in these tapping sessions. We're healing and letting go of our own perceptions so that we can open up to the truth that will be given us by the divine. I call him God, you can call him whatever works for you, but in either way, we have a higher self-truth within ourselves that we just have these blocks. So I was looking at, what is the limit I'm putting on myself today? And I remembered this situation. So I created those 4 vlogs, and then I had a situation occur where I went to an event that my son was singing in. It turned out that there were 700 students there in the school district, and there was a lot of noise while we were waiting for the concert to start. I got there early to take my son, and then I waited for family to arrive and held them seats, and the noise and the din in there just got, for me it was pretty unbearable, and it was really overwhelming. And this was day 5 for me to do my vlog, and I'd made this commitment, I'm going to do it every day. Well, I was making a lot of excuses as a result of, okay, well, I can't get these uploaded anyway, so what's it going to matter if I skip a day? I was really overwhelmed. It was late when I got home. I'm not a late night person, so that's another limit I put on myself. I also was just overwhelmed from all the din beforehand. Now the singing was out of this world beautiful. I loved it, and it was an amazing concert. It was very beautiful. And yet I was tuning into what had happened days later, and even right after, and even today, this came to me. And I realized a couple things came to me, and I had this intuition that why don't we just tap on the first lesson in A Course in Miracles about letting go of the meaning, and we'll use this as an opportunity to let go of the meaning of what crowds mean to me. So basically the very first lesson is how we just sit there and we concentrate on the fact that everything we see doesn't have any meaning. And this is a really difficult thing for the ego to grasp, as I already said earlier, because the ego wants to be right about everything. So this is about letting go of a lot of past stuff. It may not make a lot of sense to you. If you're a Course in Miracles person, this will make a lot of sense. Whether it does or not, you can still be benefited from it, because it's, I've been working on this, studying the Course and training in holistic belief reprogramming in the past year. And I've been letting go of a lot of stuff, and it just is becoming to the point where I'm aware that, wow, I don't want to hold on to my old meaning. But because of the default unconscious ways in which I still react, like I did that evening, I hadn't actually tapped on or released this fear. And it's really based on this duality. And dualities are something that need to be integrated, and they can be collapsed, because they don't really exist except in the ego mind and in this world, which is really all illusions based on the ego. So what we see is based on what we think. And it's really that simple. And I'm not going to get into a whole lot more because I don't want the video to get really, really long. But I do want to share that there's a beautiful thing that can happen, and I've seen it happen over the past year as I've let go. The freedom, the peace, the calm, the joy, those things start coming in. And wow, once you feel that, life just starts getting amazing, and you just want to let go of more of it. So I'm really tuned in to what these things are in my life that I don't want anymore, but that I'm still allowing to create limits on myself, right? And they're limiting my potential, which is really unlimited as a child of the light, because that's how God created us all. And it's a beautiful thing when we can start recognizing that. What I'm going to do is tap on my own specifics about crowds. You're probably going to have totally different feelings and maybe a totally different viewpoint about them. See, my dad, I heard him talk a lot about not liking crowds. He wanted to be home alone. My mom didn't talk about it, but she just loved being in crowds. She just enjoyed it. There was a time long before I ever went to a Chiefs football game that my mom went to one. And she just loved it. She just wanted to experience all these wonderful things. And I kind of lived in this really narrow world. I kept everything very tight and close to me. And I wasn't interested in a lot of this stuff that my mom was open to trying. And she was very open-minded, and I appreciate that more now than I did back then, for sure, because I used to be judgmental about it. But there did come a point where we were given free tickets to see the Chiefs ourselves. And I mean, all I could talk about afterwards was how everybody was screaming through the whole thing, standing up and screaming. It was never a moment's peace. I did not enjoy it at all. Now if I went, I would tune into that and practice a new reframe on that situation, which is what we're working on today, is to be open to a reframe. I may not have the best one in mind right now, but in these videos we're just opening ourselves up to intuition so we can be guided into new ways. And when we acknowledge we don't know the best way to look at these things, that's when we open ourselves up to letting it go, because we're going to be able to hear the truth and we're going to be ready to receive it. And that's just going to change our lives for the better, and it will affect other people as well. It's all about vibration, having this beautiful love energy. So this negative feeling about the crowd, see, it's not helping me, it's not blessing anybody. It's holding us all back. So you can tap on my specifics and tune into your own. You may love crowds. You may not like crowds, but either way, we want to be balanced. We don't want to be strong one way or the other. And the rest, I think we're just going to get right into the tapping beyond that. I don't think there's any reason to discuss it a lot further. So take a deep breath. This allows you to ground yourself. Start on karate chop and repeat after me. Even though crowds do not mean anything, And I wonder why I prefer to be alone. Crowds are so noisy. I get really overwhelmed in crowds. I'm afraid to let go of this old idea that I have. What's going to happen if I let that go? I choose to be more powerful anyway. I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Let's go to the top of the head. Crowds do not mean anything? I'm not so sure about that. Crowds make me crazy. Throughout my life, I even went to small churches rather than big ones. And I avoid those events where there's lots of people, like Santa Galagon days or Trails West days. There might be really cool things that I might want to see, but I'd rather stay away than have to put up with those rude people. Everybody's shoving around. Every man for himself. It's not peaceful. I'd rather be at home alone. My dad didn't like crowds, and neither do I. Even though my mom loved them, she seemed to thrive on them. She loved going to the football games at the big Chief Stadium. There's a part of me that knows that the real problem has nothing to do with the noise or the amount of people. I probably just don't feel safe around a multitude of strangers. I even avoid shopping at busy times. I get really irritable. I avoid shopping and driving in rush hour traffic. Maybe I even feel lonely in a crowd. Part of me knows it has nothing to do with the crowd because of that. I can even be at home and feel lonely. So being alone, being happy, these are all states of mind. I'm probably holding on to some unsafe feeling that I may have experienced in a crowd. Maybe when I was so little, I can't remember it now, but it was very traumatic. Or maybe I just took on my dad's perspective. Or maybe there's some past life experience about being in a crowd that was so traumatic, and I'm still holding on to that karma. It really is a choice. I'm not stuck with not liking crowds. I'm probably just afraid to connect with all these people. I'm projecting all of my judgment and fear onto them and turning it into a bad thing when it's neither good nor bad. It's not a sin to be in a crowd. But I'm making it a bad thing. These are my ego's own thoughts and illusions. And they're definitely holding me back from my unlimited potential. Crowds don't mean anything. I choose to be open to the idea the crowds do not mean anything. I choose to believe that when I let all this go, fully and completely, all of my own ideas about crowds, that I'll be free. I'll be able to find balance. I'll be able to be with crowds, multitudes of people, and feel joy and a connection with all of them. After all, I don't want to send out all this negative energy. It's just creating an imbalance in my life and in the world. I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution. Releasing all this fear about crowds and opening up to the idea, I do not know what crowds mean. I don't even know what it means to be alone. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Those 4 phrases, just to let you know, come from Ho'oponopono. So if you're familiar with that, great. If you're not, it doesn't matter. You can just tune into those words. Just let them speak to you. Your inner wisdom knows exactly what they mean and what they're for, and how to allow them to delete this old data that doesn't mean anything. So we'll say them one more time. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Take a deep breath and see how that feels. I'm still feeling a little bit of anxiety right now, but I do feel more grounded right now than I did when I was first talking about the crowds. It has always kind of unhinged me, so that's what we're letting go of here. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. Thank you for joining me today. Blessings, Elaine Enlightening at taplightUnlimited.com.